Well, unidentified or not, this is the same substance as the one found in the tobacco. If Astor had access to this substance and found it in Vic's tobacco, it's possible that the contractor did the mixing, even if the Vic himself did the rolling. We gotta find out what this stuff is. We've done all we can with that item. Mom's lipstick is similar to what we found in the desert, but the cigarette brands don't match. We've done all we can with that item. That'll go on the trace analysis computer.
Already have, at the new owner's home. Hey, they can't all be hard. Even got a tread print for you. You're welcome. Oh yeah, her boss places her at work, doing overtime, for the whole week. You read the papers? Front page in the Las Vegas Post. Financial problems in Hanson's campaign. Staffers are abandoning ship. Seems paychecks have grown scarce lately. An op-ed piece suggests Emily's son's lifestyle has hurt her in the polls. Motive? Maybe. He's been investigated more times than certain members of Congress. Fraud, extortion, even illegal gambling. In Vegas, that's a good trick. No convictions, though. Still makes you wonder why a respectable woman like Emily Hanson would want this scumbag working for her. Once you've got enough evidence, I'll hit up a judge.
Tread types are definitely similar, but the tread marks taken from the desert weren't fresh, so the wear marks can't be matched exactly.
I've got nothing new to report on the Vic.
Thank God someone in the Vegas media is finally telling the truth about that witch. She nagged and nagged about him contributing to her campaign coffers.
I gave it a cursory look. My attorney will give it a harder one. That paper supports my opponent, and they deal in half-truths and outright lies. Regardless, anyone who's ever been a parent understands the limitations and the disappointments even the best mothers and fathers face.
Is it true your son reneged on a large campaign contribution?
That's a ridiculously overblown way to put it. I wasn't angry at all about that. Derek said his funds were low and I believed him. And anyway, he contributed in the past, generously, which I appreciated. Whatever private problems we had, my son supported my efforts as a public person. Besides which, my campaign has ample funding. If you're looking for dirt, my laundry is not the place to look for it. I'd suggest you take a long, lingering look at my son's promiscuous widow. I don't deal with rumor or speculation either. In fact, I had one of my security people keep Carla under surveillance. All my suspicions, it seems, were well-founded. That round-heeled slattern is a disgrace to our good name. I'm not sure this proves it, but I have this dated receipt from an estimate. Don't mind my doodles in the margins. Maybe so, but I haven't seen that vehicle in weeks. Do you really think I drove out into the middle of the desert to find and kill my own son? What kind of monster do you take me for? I don't have anything else for you.
I don't know what her son was really up to, but to hear her tell it, Sonny Boy was partying hardy, all night, every night. Why that idiot didn't get on his mother's good side, I'll never get. I mean, with the power she'd be coming into, if she won that election, he could have been on Cush Street. You say you found his prints on a poker chip. I got no idea. Far as I remember, the guy was never here. Maybe those chips were in a box of stuff from his condo back after I got fired. Just some stuff of his that got accidentally mixed in with mine.
So how exactly is Carla getting her marriage back on track? And who's this other guy? So Carla takes out an insurance policy to protect the kids she and Derek didn't have, with her husband worth more dead than alive, and a new boyfriend on the horizon. Well, look up motive in Webster's and it'll refer you to this.
Sweet.
Looks like our contractor remodeled the truth into lies. He wrote this note.
Chemical in the tobacco matches that stuff Astor had in his shop. Let's see what else he's constructing in there. This warrant is good for anything chemically related, as well as any signs of Derek.
Hell, this is a place of business. Are you gonna cost me money? What the hell kind of grounds do you have anyway to come intruding like this?
Read the warrants and see. You may want to skim down to where it says lethal substance. Sodium monofluoroacetate, also known as compound 1080. Wouldn't want to pop my popcorn in here. There today.
That's all I got for you.
Well, it's just an ordinary, everyday scorecard. It's illegal gambling, high-stakes poker, the kind of pot that makes a CSI's yearly salary look like nickel-dime. Odorless, tasteless, poisonous. Lethal dose is only 1/100th of an ounce. Possible murder weapon, but let's not get cocky till Doc Robbins has his say. Let's run this evidence by Captain Brass. The DNA analyzer will tell you what you need. Derek's hair on the broken rake handle. I don't think it got there while Derek was raking leaves. Not in Vegas, anyway.
Yes, shape of the wound, nature of the blunt instrument, Vic's hair. This rake handle is consistent with a head wound. Now I know what we're dealing with. I can safely say cause of death is poisoning by sodium monofluoroacetate, compound 1080, a rare and interesting poison. The toxic effects of SFMA usually happen within minutes of ingestion and result from a conversion of non-toxic fluoroacetate ions to toxic fluorocitric acid, which then blocks the Krebs cycle, affecting the central nervous system and heart. Typically, death results from ventricular tachycardia or heart fibrillation. Layman's terms, ventricles of the heart start beating so rapidly as to prevent the pumping of blood. In some cases, death could be from respiratory failure caused by pulmonary edema. This essentially fills the lungs with water. Grissom wants you in the lab now that COD's been determined.
So, cause of death was determined to be pesticide. The Vic smoked it on his walkabout and dropped dead. But is playing havoc with our Trinity. We don't have anyone to physically match to the crime scene.
You said it yourself. He died in the desert, potentially alone. But he was killed by poison. So what should you be looking for now?
A second crime scene, where the poison was originally mixed into the tobacco. And that's where we will find evidence linking the suspect to that crime scene.
Nicely reasoned, Greg. Now follow through.
This just came in. We found the car in Utah. The woman driving it gave us her testimony. Bottom line, she hung out with him 3 days ago, then split home. Says it was her camera that took the photo you found. For your info, her car has a GPS and a mobile phone. She wears size 5 boots that match our print. She smokes, and her lipstick is of the reddish variety that matches our sample. And her voice matches the 911 tape. Since she didn't have any poison on her, I think we can cross her and her evidence off our list. It's the Vicks. Service provider was very helpful. 3 stored messages on the voicemail. Got them all on tape. Is Lou Astor a contractor or an exterminator? Guy's got enough pesticide to wipe out a city block. And his tools have traces of our Vic on them. Let's bring Mr. Astor in and see what he can build for us this time.
A lot of people owe me money. It's the nature of the construction business. Yeah, so what? I run a friendly game between friends, you know?
Right, friendly.
Yeah, and Hardy owed me money from a recent game. Chump change for him, but he was stiffing me, and I was feeling like the chump. Guy just would not pay up. Acted like I was the lowly grunt who works with his hands, and he's some special rich kid.
So you write him a friendly note, you tell him to pay up or else, then you wait for him to come around the shop and crack him over the head with a rake.
That wasn't the way it was. He freaks out about my note, and he comes over here and goes off on me. So sure, I defended myself. I mean, the bastard said he was gonna kill me. Would you just stand there and let him rough you up? I don't think so.
Interesting take. Here's another. Derek was in the red with you in a big way, you and your poker friends. So you whack him a good one, sending him to his knees, breaking that rake in half. And while Derek's having a little nap on the floor, you take the opportunity to lift his tobacco from his pocket and sprinkle pesticide in his cigarettes.
Poison him? What are you, high? Listen, that ain't my style. If I got a problem with somebody, I'm not gonna... Geez, are you kidding? I mean, is that how he died?
And we found it in Derek's tobacco, too.
Hey, in my business, pesticide is part of the program. Let me tell you, I am beyond careful with that stuff. It's as deadly as a heart attack, and I keep it under lock and key in the office. I even wear gloves when I handle it.
Careful precautions, like leaving an open jar in your shop.
Please! I must have misplaced the lid when I used it up. Frickin' jar was empty anyway. No harm done. Listen, I didn't care much for the dude, but I didn't kill him. I don't know, you'd have to check my records to know for sure. I mean, I've used it a lot. A few months back, Emily Hansen said, what was it she said? Oh yeah, she said, I have some pests that need taking care of. I brought it over there, but I think I spooked her some when I told her the care she needed to take around that deadly crap. Well, I was going to, but Carla has all these cats, you know, and she was worried about them getting into her. So I hauled it out of there. That's all I got for you.
Here at the house all day. Mr. Astor, my contractor, stopped by briefly, then left. I saw my son that afternoon. We spoke briefly in the garage as he was picking up his camping gear, which had been in storage there for months. I never touched any of it, by the way. Then he was on his way. Really quite unremarkable, except for the fact that I would never see him alive again. I don't have anything else for you.
Just a friend of mine, co-worker at the legal office. Where the hell did you get that?
Well, your mother-in-law thinks this friend is a lover.
Does she? So even the police are falling prey to her manipulative BS. She's a political animal. And when the heat's on her, she shifts it onto me, huh? Look, this guy is really just a friend, and I don't see why he should suffer because Emily Hansen wants to build up her reputation by tearing down others. How can you be so cold? I just lost the man I love, and if a friend wants to lend a sympathetic shoulder, that's hardly against the law. Sorry. I know you're just doing your job, and you have to look at everything and everybody, and I really do want to help. Look, you wanted boots, remember? I found some that my husband bought me ages ago. I intended to give them away. I know I never wore them. Maybe they'll help prove my innocence? Oh dear. Well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, it's progress at least. Please tell me he didn't suffer.
He did suffer, but it wasn't prolonged. There was a highly toxic pesticide in his tobacco. He smoked it and died of the poison.
Poison? My God, that's terrible. My baby, my poor, poor baby. Derek had his faults. God knows. I know, but how did this happen? Derek? Suicide? No, never a word. Frankly, he was too selfish for that. Oh, is that terrible for me to say, to admit? But he was self-centered, like all substance abusers and sick gamblers. And he was struggling with kicking his various habits, but still, I wouldn't call him depressed or anything. Oh my, do I have to? Really, this is personal, and it's all I have left of him. Those last memories. Well, we woke up and made love, and just rolled over into each other's arms, and... Anyway, then he got up and made breakfast. While we ate breakfast, he sprung it on me. He was taking one of his trips out into the desert. He didn't think I'd mind, since I was going to be working all week on my upcoming trial. Around then, Lou Astor, that jerk contractor, dropped by to pick up his materials, and Derek got into it with him. He was still in the kitchen, cleaning up after breakfast, when I left for work, and that was the last time I saw him. An image I'll treasure, because for all his faults and selfishness, there was that thoughtful side. I'm not really sure. He said he was planning to use this virulent pesticide, and I said, like hell you are. I didn't want my cats using up their 9 lives.
Did you happen to see where he kept it?
No, as I say, I can't be sure if it even was here. Are we talking an aerosol spray can, like bug killer? It might have been in the kitchen, under the sink, or under the counter. Frankly, he cluttered our kitchen up something fierce. I was happy when he finally came and hauled that junk out. What a mess. Maybe. I really have no idea.
He's on his way to interrogation now.
That's all I got for you.
Thanks for the nice long talk last night. Anytime you're in the mood for stimulating conversation, I guess you know the number. And if a private show is on your mind, you know where to find your shining star.
Doesn't quite sound like the little woman, huh? Bone sex, lap dances. Derek was not as domesticated as his wife thought. Carla's tone is a tad different than the sweet, patient wife she's been laying on us.
Well, Derek, I certainly raised a class act for a son. Hanging up on his own mother. Lovely. You know what the problem is? I spoiled you when tough love was called for. And if you don't honor your financial commitment to my campaign, my darling boy, I will show you just how tough a mother's love can be. Do I make myself clear?
And here I was wondering why Emily didn't make Mother of the Year.
Mother had pesticide in her garage, and she was there when Derek stopped by. We also have evidence linking her to the desert crime scene. I think we can get a judge to let us search that garage for anything that kills chemically.
Well, if that isn't wonderful news.
Pesticide Safety, a consumer's handbook. Not your standard book of the month club material. Somebody thoughtfully dog-eared a page for us. And here's our old friend, Compound 1080. Memos to her campaign manager. I hate paperwork. Looks like they talk about her son more. This must be where Derek stored his camping gear. Way to be thorough. Looks like the area's clean. I think we all have a hunch what this stuff is, but let's be sure.
I don't have anything else for you.
Emily must have known all about the pesticide as a poison, but knowing doesn't necessarily mean doing. This tracks. We know Lou brought some of the rodenticide over to Emily's house. Derek's mom definitely had access to the pesticide in her garage, and she could easily have doctored his tobacco when he stopped by. You got stood up when company came, and thought your husband might have been out gambling. Thought you and Derek had worked all that out.
Listen, Derek was human. He fell off his various wagons from time to time, and I had to be the bad guy sometimes. If that's suspicious, go out and arrest every couple that argues, why don't you? Anyway, I cooked a gourmet dinner for his friends, and he stood us all up. I told you all I can.
I don't have anything else for you.
I don't have anything for you right now.
He's on his way to interrogation now. You knew Derek smoked tobacco? You had pesticide ready in both the shop and the house. It would have been child's play to tamper with his camping gear.
That is a bunch of bull. I told you before, I just dropped that stuff off. I was going to use it later.
To kill Derek?
To kill the rats in Mrs. Hanson's garage. Look, I've offed my share of pests, but Derek Hardy wasn't one of them. That's all I got for you.
Mama has a book on pesticides, as well as the killer powder in her house when her son stopped by. Let's hear her story.
So I left a harsh message for my wayward son, and that leads you to think I committed filicide?
You're a confident woman, Mrs. Hanson. Maybe you thought you'd never be found out, and the papers are already saying you're winning the sympathy of the voters.
Kill my own child to improve my position in the polls. Does that strike you as an effective way to attract votes? He had pledged financial support, and when he changed his mind, I had to let key staffers go and expose my financial weakness to the media. But since then, we've regained our footing, and we'll do fine without his help. $100,000. If that sounds like a murder motive to you, tell me how I gained from my son's death. My sweet daughter-in-law, however, stands to pick up a cool $500,000. I saw a copy of the policy. We share an insurance agent. Why wouldn't I if I planned to have that vile substance around? My garage was rat-infested, and I meant to do something about it. Is killing rats a crime in Las Vegas?
No, unless the rat was a big one, named Derek, who had come around to pick up his camping gear. You knew he was coming over, so you manipulated your contractor friend Astor to bring you some pesticide. While Derek is distracted, you poison his tobacco, a dose perfect for seeing to it his desert camping expedition is his last.
Is that how you solve crimes, Captain Brass? Spin conjecture all day? I never touched that pesticide, nor even opened the book. I didn't have time. And I did not poison my son's tobacco, though I told that boy time and again that smoking would kill him someday. Now, if you're quite finished with wasting my time, perhaps I can provide a fact, not conjecture. There's something I found that I must have thrown away after Derek cleared out his camping gear. Look, I found a receipt that must have dropped out of Derek's jacket pocket.
You should have handed that over earlier, Mrs. Hanson. It may be evidence.
Well, I thought it was just trash at the time, but upon reflection, I began to think otherwise. It's a receipt for tobacco, the day before the crime. I called the tobacco shop, and you'll want to do the same.
We will, but why do you say that, Mrs. Hanson?
Well, as I say, the receipt had been in Derek's pocket, apparently, but the tobacco was purchased by Carla, the clerk said. And here's an interesting tidbit about my loving daughter-in-law. Smoking is not one of her numerous bad habits. Gladly. It will be just another memory to store away until I'm elected and can begin going after all your jobs. I don't have anything else for you.
I told you all I can.
Yeah, I had a long talk with the clerk who knew Carla all the way from Catholic school. He also told me that Carla bought the tobacco the day before her husband left for the camp out. He's on his way to interrogation now.
That's all I got for you.
We know there was pesticide at the convent. We know Carla bought tobacco, and we know she's being friendly with others. Did Carla spike her husband's tobacco in his own house? You now have a search warrant for evidence to answer that question.